per reports last week from Elliotte Friedman of Sportsnet and the 32 Thoughts podcast, etc., he suggested that Bertuzzi and the Maple Leafs were actually looking long-term on a contract before they agreed on a one-year deal. So that leads you to believe that down the road, there could be a long-term marriage. What would you make of that? Do you think that's the right decision? Ultimately, January 1st is the day they can actually do a new extension. But I would say I would take a wait-and-see approach. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, time will tell if that's a good thing or not. I mean, I'm a fan of the signing. I wanted him in the offseason. He's a younger talent. He's that new age type of player, and I like how he plays with a bit of an edge. So many guys of his era or his comparables, can do what he does, but they play on the perimeter. They have zero edge to them. They don't have a lot of personality out there. They just want to go out there and just get their cookies and get the hell off, and then tell their agent, see my points, see my numbers. And it's like, that's all fine and dandy. That might get you paid. But I like this kid playing with a little bit of an edge. He's got a personality. I think he can grow. And if you can grow in Toronto, it means you're doing something big and you're doing something right. So if that happens throughout the next few months and they do extend him, fantastic. He's a quality player, and I'm excited to have him right now.
Yeah, the thing for me, and again, I agree with everything you're saying. I want to see how he fits. Like I know people are excited. I'm just as excited as any other person for this Maple Leaf season. But just because it looks good on paper doesn't mean it actually will work on the ice. So I want to see how Bertuzzi fits. On that note, too, I think players of that ilk of that sort of breed, like a Domi or Bertuzzi, tend to do too much when they come to Toronto. If that makes sense. Like I always remember David Clarkson tried to fight the entire Buffalo Sabres, like in the preseason. Like I think there has to be a way to sort of channel yourself along the season into the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I'm really, really intrigued to see how these guys like Domi and specifically Bertuzzi adapt to playing in this market. I mean, Bertuzzi's been linked to being a Maple Leaf for many years. So I would take a wait and see approach for that reason. On top of that, chemistry is a thing. And the other thing, too, is that whole thing with the salary cap, right? You're still trying to figure out Willie Nylander. Who knows if that goes into the new year? And Mitch Marner is eligible for an extension next summer. So, before you could start thinking about those puzzle pieces, we know TJ Brody and others are free agents following this season. It has to make sense on paper, and obviously the asking price has to make sense as well. But for sure, like I think you look at that type of player, it's something the Leafs have been lacking for many years now.
Yeah, and if I'm Sheldon Keefe, I'm letting that stuff, be in the hands of the general manager, the cap crunchers, the presidents of
Yeah.
the brass of the team. Look down the road, look past this year. That's all fine and dandy. To me, it gets a little overwhelming when you start thinking of contracts 2 years out and salary cap, and does it go out? It's just like, holy shit. I got a player's mentality. What do we have right now, and what are we going to do with it? And I don't like the idea of feeling something out and can this guy and make a whole bunch of moves at the deadline and then try to like shovel your puzzle pieces together at the deadline and we're ready to make a run. Like I don't like that. I like having a team built, ready to rock. You put your pieces together in training camp and you just build your identity throughout the season. I know what that feels like. You're going into playoffs and you have this brotherhood of guys. You have this family. You know these guys inside and out. You've been through hell. You've been through ups and downs. You know how to deal with adversity, and away you go. I don't like just saying, grabbing cherries off the tree and shoving them in a basket and saying, here's our team. I don't like that at all. And I don't think that's the way you build a Stanley Cup winning team. Sure, you can adjust and put some puzzle pieces around and fill some holes at the deadline. I'm not saying don't do that, but I hate the mentality of, well, if this doesn't work, we'll just, shove everything together at the deadline. That's not going to get it done. So I'm excited for these guys to start hopefully putting their feet forward and building towards that level of team that's just a machine come playoffs.